After the explosive events of the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie, the battlefield only grows more intense. With Muzan's fortress collapsing and chaos spreading everywhere, one of the most terrifying upper moons makes his move. Dōma, the upper rank 2 known for his chilling smile and ruthless cruelty, emerges from the rubble. After devouring Shinobu the insect Hashira, he now crosses paths with Kanao, setting the stage for a battle filled with vengeance, despair, and unyielding resolve. Amidst all the chaos, we see Dōma realizing that Akaza has just been killed. Before Akaza's death, he had felt a strange sensation caused by Koyuki, but Dōma himself remains indifferent to such things. Standing before the battered girl, he casually asks her name. She replies, Tsuyuri Kanao. Upon hearing this, Dōma remarks that she doesn't look blood-related to Shinobu or her elder sister. This sparks a memory. Akaza's strong hatred for consuming women, while Dōma in contrast, always believed that women's bodies contain more nutrients compared to men. Despite his cruelty, Dōma suddenly begins to cry, lamenting Akaza's death, since he now has no friend left. Kanao responds coldly, telling him that every word out of his mouth is a lie, and anyone could see he is incapable of real feelings. She even declares that Dōma should never have been born. For once, Dōma turns serious and says he has eaten countless women and even spoken with them, but never before had he seen a girl like her so beautiful, yet so sharp-tongued. Without hesitation, Dōma lunges at her. Kanao not only dodges but also slashes his stomach. Dōma attacks again, but Kanao narrowly evades using her extraordinary flexibility. Until now, she had avoided inhaling Dōma's blood demon art, and he begins to realize that this girl is far stronger than the previous Hashira he had faced. With anger in her eyes, Kanao declares her hatred, reminding him that he murdered her family. She then unleashes an attack with flower breathing. Dōma responds by summoning ice layers with his blood demon art, but Kanao shatters them with her strikes. Though he sees she isn't overwhelmingly powerful, he recognizes the sharpness of her vision as extraordinary. Dōma then targets her eyes. Kanao counters by using flower breathing, 6th form, whirling peach, while Dōma summons countless lotus-shaped ice constructs with his blood demon art. Kanao destroys them, but he immediately follows with blood demon art White Lotus Princess, forcing her to barely escape. He then unleashes winter icicles, which Kanao dodges again. Dōma notes aloud that the only way to defeat him is through close combat, since at long range he can use his techniques to perfection. Suddenly he disappears for a second, and reappears holding Kanao's Nichiren blade. Taunting her, he says she should hold her sword tighter. Then, with his blood demon art, Scarlet Lotuses, he prepares to strike, knowing Kanao can't fight effectively without her blade. Even so, Kanao uses her vision to find the least damaging spot to take the blow. But before the attack can land, the wall shatters apart, and someone bursts in. It's none other than Inosuke Hashibira. Both Kanao and Dōma are stunned by his wild entrance. Inosuke zooms in on the demon before him and loudly declares, "This demon is upper rank 2. I'll kill him today and finally become a Hashira." Dōma smirks and replies that he was never hiding his identity to begin with. Dōma, watching the clash unfold, thinks to himself that this wild boar-headed boy is quite an interesting character. Inosuke then glances at Kanao, telling her that she's badly injured, and if Shinobu found out about this, she would not be happy at all. Kanao remains silent, and her face sinks with sadness. Seeing this, Inosuke realizes that Shinobu has already been killed. From a distance, Dōma, who had been listening to their conversation, interrupts with a twisted smile. "Who said Shinobu is dead? She lives on inside me, forever." At that moment, Inosuke recalls how Shinobu once bandaged his hand, and made him promise never to remove that bandage. Growing serious, Inosuke declares, "I will kill you," and launches his attack. Using beast breathing, 4th fang, slice and dice, Inosuke unleashes a flurry of slashes against Dōma. But Dōma mocks him, laughing that his attacks have no style, just the wild, thoughtless strikes of a savage. Dōma then counters with a strike aimed at Inosuke's throat, but Inosuke uses his flexibility to deflect the attack, bouncing back right next to Kanao. In that instant, he hands Kanao back her Nichiren sword, the true purpose of his maneuver. Dōma, realizing what just happened, is enraged and immediately lashes out at Inosuke with his fans. But Inosuke doesn't back down, clashing with him head-on, and even landing a powerful kick against the upper moon. Rushing forward at full speed, Inosuke prepares another strike. Dōma, confident in his calculations, thinks he has already predicted the attack. But the next instant, both of Dōma's eyes are slashed open. Kanao gasps in shock as Inosuke reveals his technique. Beast breathing 9th fang, godly undetected, a strike that slipped right through Dōma's awareness. Inosuke then casually snaps his joints back into place and mutters, "I was aiming for your neck." Dōma, stunned, admits, I've never fought someone like you before. To which Inosuke smirks and replies, that's because no one's ever reached my level. Then in a strange twist, we see Inosuke's boar mask vanish from his face. It is in Doma's hands. Dōma chuckles. This boar's hide is ancient, and how could you even see clearly through these rotten eyes? Enraged, Inosuke demands his mask back, but before he can react, Dōma tilts his head and says, wait a second, have I seen you somewhere before? Kanao warns him immediately, don't listen, he's only trying to distract you. Ignoring her, Dōma plunges his finger into his own forehead, forcing himself to recall a memory. Suddenly, it comes back to him. A girl from 15 years ago. She was around 17 or 18 years old, abused and beaten constantly by her husband, suffering not only physically but mentally as well. She had fled her home and arrived at Dōma's temple, seeking refuge, and in a rare moment of twisted pity, even a monster like Dōma felt compassion for her. Her entire body was swollen from bruises, and she had gone blind in one eye. Dōma allowed her to stay in his temple, an odd fragment of kindness buried in the cruelty of Upper Moon 2. But the woman's face was so beautiful that even someone as emotionless as Dōma could never forget it. And Inosuke resembled her so much that, in Dōma's eyes, there could be no doubt she must have been his mother. Inosuke immediately snarls back, shut up, stop talking nonsense, I'm just the child of a boar. Dōma smirking replies, if you're human then a human gave birth to you. Enraged, Inosuke charges without thinking, but in a single motion Dōma slashes him with 2 deep cuts across his body. Kanao quickly intervenes, warning him, calm down, one reckless move could cost you your life. Dōma then continues his story. He says that woman was so beautiful that, for the first time he never wanted to eat her, but beauty was the only thing she had. Her mind was empty, and she would often sing a song called Pinky Promise for her son, her voice so sweet it stayed even in Dōma's memory. At that moment, Inosuke suddenly recalls, it wasn't Shinobu who sang that lullaby, it was his mother. Dōma smirks, I never wanted to kill her. In fact, I wanted her by my side forever. But as I said, she had beauty, but no brains. It didn't take her long to realize I was eating my own followers. And so, she ran away. She fled the temple, tears streaming down her face, apologizing again and again to her son, apologizing for every wrong decision she had ever made, apologizing for being lost in the forest without knowing where to go. She kept repeating, I'm sorry, until she reached the edge of a cliff, with Dōma closing in on her. Knowing her death was inevitable, she begged her son's forgiveness one last time, and then threw him into the river below, hoping he might survive. The next moment, Dōma arrived and killed her in an instant. He assumed the child must have died from the fall, but fate had something else in store. Dōma laughs coldly. That poor woman's fate was miserable indeed. I devoured her, bone by bone, savoring every piece. Hearing this, Inosuke pulls his twin Nichirin swords from the water, fury burning in his eyes. Dōma taunts him, your mother loved you deeply. But this only makes Inosuke snap. He roars back. The one who killed my mum and my friends is standing right in front of me. Thank you for reminding me of my past. But now I'll show you what true hell looks like. Dōma smirks, shaking his head. Unfortunately, there is no such thing as heaven or hell. They're nothing but illusions created by humans. To this, Inosuke yells with all his rage. If hell doesn't exist, then I'll create it for you. And then, Dōma unleashes his blood demon art, Freezing Cloud. Inosuke counters, with beast-breathing 10th fang, circular fangs, spinning his twin blades rapidly, to block the icy mist. At the same moment, Kanao launches a strike from behind Dōma, but he easily notices it, and knocks her away with his fan, sending her crashing into the water below. Dōma then leaps up, and stands calmly on the roof. Inosuke shouts at him, what's the matter? Don't tell me you're scared of me now. But Dōma replies coldly, Akaza is already dead. I don't have any time to waste. With that, he creates several crystalline Miko dolls using his blood demon art, ordering them to attack. Now these will play with you. One of the dolls rushes Inosuke, and the battle continues. To Dōma's surprise, Inosuke's wild breathing technique is holding its own against him. Intrigued, Dōma decides to keep observing them a bit longer, hoping to gather new information from both fighters. He strengthens his attacks further, even summoning another doll to speed things up. The doll then uses Winter Icicle Barrage, overwhelming both Inosuke and Kanao. Bored Dōma begins to lose interest. They're no different from any other demon slayers, he mutters, deciding to leave. As he moves to open the door, however, his body suddenly begins to melt. At that moment, we see a flashback. Shinobu had once told Kanao her plan. If they ever faced upper rank 2, Shinobu would sacrifice herself, allowing her body to be consumed. Kanao was shocked, insisting it would be better if they fought together. But Shinobu explained that an upper moon was nearly as strong as 3 Hashira combined. And from her research, she had learned that Dōma had a particular obsession with women. Knowing this, Shinobu prepared for the inevitable. For over a year, she had been consuming wisteria poison, slowly infusing her body with a lethal concentration. Normally, her sword carried enough poison to inject 37 milligrams, but by now, Shinobu's entire body contained nearly 37 kilograms, enough to kill even an upper-ranked demon. As her words echo in Kanao's memory, Doma's regeneration suddenly halts. His body begins to break down, and the crystalline dolls shatter into pieces. Realizing the moment has come, Kanao shouts, "Now's the time to kill him!" Both she and Inosuke rush forward, but Dōma, desperate, unleashes his ultimate technique, Blood Demon Art Frost Bodhisattva. A massive icy statue materializes and immediately attacks, its gigantic arms swinging down toward them. Kanao knows this is their only chance. If Dōma isn't killed here and now, he will recover and regenerate. Despite Shinobu's warnings never to use it, Kanao resolves to sacrifice herself. She calls upon her forbidden technique, one that could permanently blind her. Flower-breathing final form, Scarlet Spider Lily Eyes. Blood pours from her eyes as her vision sharpens beyond human limits. With this last burst of strength, she sees the Bodhisattva statue about to crush Inosuke. In a flash, she slices through its hand, freeing him. Then she dashes toward Doma's neck, her blade poised for the killing strike. But before she can land the final blow, the massive statue's mouth opens behind her, unleashing a freezing blast. Kanao is caught mid-strike, half her body encased in ice, and her blade comes to a halt, just short of severing Doma's throat. But just then, Inosuke unleashes his brand new technique, swatting through slices, and hurls his blades with full force onto Kanao's sword. The combined impact finally makes contact with Dōma, and together, Kanao and Inosuke succeed in severing Dōma's head from his body. At first, Dōma still believes that, like Akaza or even Muzan, his head will regenerate, but in the end, his body begins to disintegrate completely. As he fades away, memories of his childhood return. He recalls how his mother killed his father, who had been mistreating female followers. Yet when this happened, the only thought running through young Dōma's mind was, "Please don't make the house dirty. If you're going to do this, do it outside." Soon after, his mother committed suicide as well. But even then, Dōma didn't think of his parents for a single moment. By the age of 20, he had already become a demon, and for nearly 100 years, he remained one. Then we see an afterlife scene. Shinobu stands holding Dōma's severed head in her hands. She says, "Finally, you're dead. Now I can rest in peace." Dōma, confused, asks if she is Shinobu or Kanao. Shinobu coldly replies, "You don't need to know that. I've never seen a creature as vile as you." Dōma admits that her poison was so potent that even he hadn't realized when it had seeped into his blood. To this, Shinobu reveals that Lady Tamayo helped her develop it. Suddenly, Dōma blurts out that his heart, which technically no longer exists, is beating rapidly, and he asks her, "Is this what love feels like?" Realizing this strange new emotion, he almost seems to long for it. But Shinobu harshly curses him, saying, "It's better if you go to hell quickly, because I can't bear to see you any longer." With that, Dōma is gone forever. Back in the present, Inosuke and Kanao declare victory, but Inosuke is so weakened that he collapses. As he lies there, a memory surfaces of a day when Tanjiro told him that everyone has a mother. At the time, Inosuke had believed he was raised by boars, not humans. Tanjiro reassured him, "You're human. You were born from a human mother." Inosuke had protested, saying, "But my mother abandoned me." Tanjiro gently replied that she must have had her reasons, but even so she gave him a name. Inosuke stubbornly said, "If my mother doesn't need me, then I don't need her either." But Tanjiro stopped him, reminding him that all mothers love their children deeply. Now in the present, those words strike Inosuke's heart. He begins to cry, grieving, remembering and yearning for the mother he once lost. And on the other side, we see Kanao, who is searching for Shinobu's hair clips. By now, one of her eyes had gone completely blind. As she looks, she remembers the time when their eldest sister was killed by upper rank 2. At her funeral, Shinobu cried uncontrollably, and though Kanao felt immense sorrow too, she couldn't shed a single tear because back then, she hadn't even known how to express her emotions. Now Kanao thanks all her friends and apologizes to her 2 elder sisters. In her heart, she imagines Shinobu and Kanao gently patting her head, smiling, and saying, "You've done well." When she looks up, however, no one is actually there. Then we shift to the afterlife scene, where Shinobu and Kanai finally reunite with their family. Kanao, holding the hair clips of both her elder sisters in her hand, at last allows herself to cry freely, expressing emotions she had kept locked away for so long. Meanwhile, Tanjiro awakens after his fierce battle with Akaza. He had fainted, but is startled awake by the scent of something burning. He sees Ginyu cauterizing his wounds with a heated blade, since even after bandaging the bleeding wouldn't stop. Ginyu offers to do the same for Tanjiro's injuries. Though hesitant, Tanjiro accepts. Ginyu then says grimly, "This was just the beginning. We still have to face Upper Moon 1 and Muzan himself. It will not be easy." At that moment, a messenger crow arrives with shocking news. Upper Rank 2 Dōma has been killed, but those who defeated him, Kanao and Inosuke, are in critical condition. The scene then shifts to Nakime, who has now fully assumed the role of Upper Rank 4. Her battle erupts against Mitsuri and Obanai. At the same time, we see Muichiro and Gyomei drawing dangerously close to Muzan's location. But suddenly, Infinity Castle splits them apart, hurling Muichiro into a different chamber, and waiting inside that room is none other than Upper Rank 1 Kokushibo. With this cliffhanger, the Infinity Castle Saga's Part 3 comes to an end, and that's where we'll pause until the next video.